Hi, this persuasive speech I'm going to be talking about the greatest musician. Um, have you ever been driving in your car and not listening to music? I don't think you have. I don't think anybody has. I mean, there's the few times that you don't, but that doesn't happen very often. Um, so I want to start off by asking you guys just think about your favorite kind of music, whether it's rock, pop, um, jazz, classical. Just think about that for a second. Where did it come from? How did it evolve into the current stage that it's in? Well, in the early 1900s, you may have heard of him. There was this guy that came along. He's called Louis Armstrong, and he was basically the inventor of jazz, and he became an idol to so many that followed after him. Why is he important? Because everybody listens to music. Music is important to everybody, and regardless of what music you listen to now, it has been influenced by Louis Armstrong. I'm going to talk about why he is so important now. Like I said, he was the inventor of jazz. Um, in the early 1900s in New Orleans, there was a few styles mixing around. You had ragtime, which came from the Creoles, the French descendants that were in New Orleans. You had classical, which came from all the European musicians, mostly piano players. And you had African rhythm, which came from obviously the slaves that all came over during the trade and the slavery and all that. Um, every once a week, all the slaves would gather in a place called Congo Square in New Orleans, and Louis Armstrong heard about this and he saw it, and he decided, hey, that was pretty cool, and he took the African rhythms that they were doing and he combined it with the classical and ragtime that he was hearing around the area, and he put it all together, and he became really the first jazz musician. That was the foundation of jazz. So he was the most important figure that jazz could have had. Now, a lot of you could argue, you could argue Mozart or Beethoven or Bach was the most important musician, but really there was a lot of musicians that came from all different areas that developed that same style of music, the classical and Baroque music, all around the same area. So I don't feel that those are important as Louis Armstrong, because he funneled everything into what developed today. And that's leads into my next topic, is that he may not sound important to anybody that's not really into jazz, but that's not true, because jazz evolved into rock and stuff like the Beatles in early 50s doo-wop, and 40s Glenn Miller big band stuff, which evolved again into rap and pop and everything you hear on the radio today. And it all funneled through Louis Armstrong, which is why I think he is one of the most important musicians ever to live. Thank you.